Hey, this is René, welcome back for another video on this channel, and today I want to create another expert advisor together with you for the MetaTrader 5 using the ZigZag indicator and also Fibonacci retracements. So the idea is to use the ZigZag indicator to find the highs and lows, and then use these highs and lows to use the Fibonacci retracements, and maybe we can create the Fibonacci retracements here. So the idea is, for example, here for the last wait, I have to start I have to turn this around, I think. Wait, let me do this again. So the idea is to use the ZigZag and then the Fibonacci's to get the retracement levels and then find the entry eventually. So for example, here we could say that we have this ZigZag line here, and then we want to go back and let's say entry at the 61.8 retracement level. And in this case we would open a buy position if price drops down to the 1.8% retracement, and then have this buy position. And then we could also use the Fibonacci for stops, or could just use the stop loss in points or whatever, but this is the general idea. So let's start writing this program. I won't explain all the programming basics in this video. If you're interested to learn all the programming basics and pretty much everything you need to know about MetaTrader 5 programming, check out the link in the video description. You will find a complete course on MetaTrader 5 programming where you learn absolutely everything, even if you're an absolute beginner. So let's start with this specific tutorial by creating a new program. I will create an expert advisor and I will call it ZigZag Fibo YT for YouTube tutorial. And then I create this EA, and let me rearrange the code a bit quickly. So this is our brand new expert advisor. So first thing we have to do is get the ZigZag, right? Because this is our main indicator that we want to use. So when we want to work with indicators in MetaTrader 5, we usually create a handle for this. So let's create the handle for the ZigZag, and then let's assign a value to this variable. So there is this I think there is no function for the ZigZag, at least none that I know of. So what we can do is, in this case, we can use the iCustom function, which is made for all of the indicators that are custom indicators or indicators that do not have a default function in the MetaTrader 5 framework. So here we can just use the current symbol. This has to be an int, not an input. We will use a input for the time frame, a input variable. Let's say period H1 by default maybe. And then we use ZigZag time frame here, and then we have the indicator name. And here we have to find the indicator. I think it's relative to the indicators folder. So if you go to your indicators folder, where you can find all of your indicators in the MetaTrader 5, we will find here the examples folder, and there we should find the ZigZag. So what we want to do is provide this path. So we say examples, and then ZigZag. I think we can add the EX5. I'm not sure. We have to test this. And then, in the iCustom, you just list all of the inputs or variables of the indicator in the order that they are given. So we will go with depth, deviation, and backstep. So let's say we want to create some inputs for this. So ZigZag depth, input in ZigZag deviation, and ZigZag, I don't know, I forgot. Let's look this up again, and then we can also get the default values. It's backstep, and it's 12, 5, and 3. So 12, 5, and backstep is 3. And these are just default values, so the user will be able to change this whenever he wants. So now in the iCustom, and you can read about this of course in the documentation, but here we just have the list of indicator parameters following now. So what we have here is ZigZag depth is the first, then ZigZag deviation and ZigZag backstep, and that's it. This will create our handle. So now in the onTick function, we can get the ZigZag indicators values. There's one thing with the ZigZag that is a major difference to all of the other indicators, or to most of the other indicators. So usually when we have indicators, we will have a value for this indicator for every single bar in the chart, right? This is what we know from, for example, the moving average, the RSI, or whatever indicator, you name it. For the ZigZag, it's different. So you can see here, for most of these bars, we don't have a value. Only for the bars that are either a high or a low of the ZigZag indicator, we do have values. So we cannot just take the values of the last 2 bars or last 3 bars, because we don't know if they even have a value for the ZigZag. So what we have to do here in this case, or what I usually like to do is, I will then create a loop to get the last values. So what we can do is, we can say, for example, we create variables, and let's maybe do this only once. Do we do this only once, or do we do this with every tick? I mean, with every tick it would be a bit overkill, I think. Let's maybe let's get some static variables, ZigZag high and ZigZag low, and let's get some default values also. So what we want to do is, if there's a new bar in the chart, and we can get a new bar, or check if there is a new bar by checking if there's a new candle that was just drawn in the chart. And we can, for example, say we get the time of the current candle with the iTime function for the current ZigZag chart that we use, or the time frame that we use for the ZigZag also. And we get the time value of the current bar. Then we want to check if timestamp has a different value than this time 0 variable. In this case, we update the timestamp variable, so we make sure that everything inside of this control structure is only processed if there's a new bar. So this is just so we don't have to run this loop with every single tick, which would take a lot of resources from our PC, which will especially slow the testing down. So here we want to use a loop. So we will just go, let's start at the last bar. We will just go backwards, starting from the last bar. And we will go backwards for a maximum of 1,000, or you could even say 10,000 bars. It doesn't really matter, but yeah, let's just keep it at 1,000. And then here we want to get the ZigZag values. So we create an array. We say copy buffer, indicator handle is handle ZigZag, of course, main line, because we only have one line. Starting position is I, count is 1, and the array is the ZigZag array that I just created. So what we do here is we want to loop through the last 1,000 bars in the chart. And what we then want to do is we whenever like I is increased by 1 after every iteration of this loop. So I always holds a different value, and we use I for the starting position. So when we loop backwards, we will get the value for this bar first, then for this bar, for this bar, for this bar, for this bar. And in this order, we just go back for 1,000 bars at max. So what we then want to do is we want to see if ZigZag actually holds a value. So we check if ZigZag at 0 is unequal, empty value. And if ZigZag is unequal 0. We only have to check 1, but I don't really know if ZigZag empty values have the empty value or if they are 0. So I just check for this, because when you have an indicator, or when you create an indicator, you can define the empty value pretty much. And it can be either 0 or the empty value number, which is, I think, the integer max number. Now it's the double max number. But yeah, this goes a little bit in detail. I don't want to cover this, but we just check with this if statement if the ZigZag has a value in this case. And then, oh wait, let's say last, or ZigZag last, and ZigZag, I don't know, last, I don't know. I just want to get the last two ZigZag values. So if we found a ZigZag value, we want to check if ZigZag last. Wait, let me think for a second. How do we do this? I think before we go through this loop, I want to reset the ZigZag last value and the ZigZag last value. So then in the loop, we can check if ZigZag last is equal to 0. And in this case, we want to update it with the ZigZag value that we just found. And if we already found the ZigZag last value, we want to check else if, oh yeah, in this case, we just say ZigZag last should be ZigZag array at index 0. So what we do is we go back in the chart. As I said, for a maximum of 1000 bars, we check every single bar from the right side to the left side if we find a ZigZag value. If we find the first ZigZag value, in this case it would be this one, we check if our ZigZag last variable is empty. If it is empty, we update it with the value of the ZigZag that we just found. If it's not empty, it means that we already found the last ZigZag value, and it means that we are currently at the second last ZigZag value, which would be this one. And if we found the second last, we just store it in the ZigZag last variable. And then we want to check here if ZigZag last is unequal 0 and ZigZag last is unequal 0. Yeah, we want to break the loop. So we break out of this loop. So this is also why it doesn't really matter if we have 1000, 10,000 or 100,000, because as soon as we get the last two values, we will break from this loop and we will stop processing the loop. Which means that when we process the loops, we will have the last two ZigZag values. So then we know that we do have the last ZigZag values, so we can now use them to figure out where our entry should be, right? There's one thing that is also important, because if price comes down here, we will, like on the way down, we will get another temporary ZigZag low, which will kind of mess up the calculation, because we still want to get the entry based on this line here, on this section of the ZigZag. So I have to think about this for a second, how we store this and not make it become overwritten pretty much by the next ZigZag line. So yeah, the first idea that I came up with is creating two more variables and make them the triggers pretty much for the buy position and the sell position, right? So what we can do is, let's say we create a bunch of variables here. Let's say we create trigger buy. Then we maybe also, wait, do we need a trigger buy time? I think we do. And then we get a trigger sell and date time trigger sell time. Yeah, maybe like this. And then if we find a ZigZag last and a ZigZag last, then before we break out of the loop, I mean, we still want to break out of the loop, but before we do this, we want to update our trigger levels, right? So what we want to do is we want to check if ZigZag last is greater than ZigZag last. Because this means that this is pretty much the scenario that we see right now. So the last ZigZag is above the last ZigZag, which means that we are searching for buy entry. So here we want to update the buy trigger buy with some price. I will update this in a second. But we also want to say trigger by time should be the time that we currently have here, or the time of the zigzag last high or low by using the itime function at the index I, because the index I is also the same index where we currently found this zigzag value here. So we also want to check if zigzag last is smaller than zigzag last, because in this case we want to search for a trigger cell, right? So again, some value. I will update this in a second. And trigger cell time is I time, symbol zigzag time frame I. And also let's calculate the correct values here. So we want to do this based on Fibo levels, right? So let's first of all create a input for this. Double Fibo trigger, I don't know, Fibo entry level. Let's say it's, wait, what was the level here? Let's say it's 61.8. 61.8. But in general, you can use anything. It doesn't even have to be a Fibo level, because Fibos, the Fibo levels are just percentage numbers based on a specific distance. So it could be anything. The Fibo levels are, I don't know, some say they are important. I would say it's more or less random. I don't know, it's not super important, but some people believe in these levels, so we will use them. So let's say this is our Fibo level. So what we can do here is we can say that the trigger is zigzag last minus, and then zigzag last minus zigzag last to get the distance, multiplied with Fibo entry level divided by 100 to get the actual level. This is just basic math. I don't think I have to explain this. And then here it's a little bit different. We have to turn around some of these things. Zigzag last. I hope I didn't mess it up, but it should be somehow like this. So what's this? Proper tester indicator. Yeah, I don't know. And then I mean we can draw the object. We can draw the object. So maybe we want to do this. So what we can do here is we can say object create on the current chart. Object name is I don't know, Fibo Fibo, and then maybe we add the trigger by time to get a unique name. Yeah, I don't know. Doesn't really matter. And then object Fibo. I don't know if it's Fibo arc channel fan or I think it's just Fibo. And subwindow 0. Time is we can use. Wait, what time do we use? Do we use the current time here? And it would make sense to use these two times, right? So let's say we want to have, let's say we want to get the times also, zigzag last time and that time, zigzag last time, like this. And yeah, and then if we found a zigzag last value, we also have to update the time. And if we find the zigzag last value, we also have to update this time. So here we say zigzag last time is equal to I time, symbol, zigzag time frame, I. And here we say zigzag last time is equal to I time, symbol, zigzag time frame, I. So this will give us the times that we can then use to create the object. So let's say time. The first time is zigzag last time. or I think it's ZigZag last time, and then the price is ZigZag last, and then we go second time is ZigZag last time and ZigZag last value. So somehow like this. And then we also create this line, we copy this line and do the same thing for the sell signal. And yeah, but maybe let's just start a test, right? To see if this is even making any sense, what I just wrote, because I don't know, I just coded this on the go. It should be somehow correct, but I mean, can still make mistakes. Oh wait, you have to activate the visual mode. So right now our program, or this program, is not doing anything, but I just want to check if we do see the Fibo levels in the chart, or the Fibo object. So yeah, there is some object. The color is not really visible, so let's make this also red maybe. So object set integer. Yeah, let's maybe create a function for this. Let's create a function down here, void create Fibo, and then we create a variable object name, which will be Fibo plus plus string time to string, and let's maybe use the ZigZag like last time. And we have to create some variables, of course. ZigZag last. Let's keep the order double. last, and then that time ZigZag last time and double ZigZag last. These are just a bunch of parameters for this function, so we can define how the Fibo object should look like. Then here we use the object name variable instead of this string, and object is object Fibo. This can stay the same, and here we just want to change the color now. Object prop color, and the color should be, yeah, let's just go with red. Keep it simple, right? So here we now use our function create Fibo, and we get ZigZag last time, ZigZag last, ZigZag last time, and ZigZag last. And now we can just copy this line for the sell signal. So now, after compiling this, I want to start another test, and let's see if the zigzags are now calculated correctly as they were before, I think. But now we should also see the Fibo object drawn in the chart, and it is not red, which is a little bit annoying. So yeah, I think I have to do it for every single level as it's described here in the reference. So what I will just do is I will just copy this loop here pretty much and paste it here, and then I will just adjust it a bit. So here we want to get the levels first, I think. Object get integer, object name, object prop levels, something like this, and then yeah, let's just, the level values should be the same. I just want to change the actually I just want to change the color red, color red. And yeah, I mean, you could say the style should be different. You can do whatever you want. You can change the width. I would just keep it here in case you want to change some of these values, but yeah, it's just this loop can be used to change the appearance pretty much of the Fibo levels. And I hope that this is now doing what I was trying to do before also. It should just paint the levels red pretty much, and the description and everything. So let's just see if this is happening. Yeah, it is happening. So yeah, we can see it's now creating these Fibo levels, and it's looking quite nice. Fibo levels are also adjusted, and we will see these Fibos now for for every single line here, pretty much, that the ZigZag indicator draws. It might be a little bit messy and annoying in the long run, so you might want to delete the old objects, but yeah, this is up to you. You can do whatever you want here with the program, and I want to show you now how to open the actual positions. Or first of all, let's get the entry calculated correctly. Oh, it is calculated correctly already. So yeah, what we want to do now is we want to check if I want to do this in the onTick function, on the onTick level, pretty much. So what I want to do is I want to get the bid and ask price, symbol info double, symbol bid. I also want to get the ask price, symbol ask, and here and let's include some or the trade.mqh file already. We will need this to open positions, and let's also get input double the lots already, so we can open a position with the lots that are defined by the user. And I mean, we can also say Fibo stop loss level could be 0, and we could say Fibo TP level. Oh wait, no, stop TP level could be 0. Yes, if we go back to 0, could be 0 in this case, and then we want to have the stop loss level, which could be, I don't know, like 100 or even more. You can play around with this. Just want to get this here already for the calculations later on. And here we want to check if if the ask price is below the trigger for the buy positions. In this case, we want to open a buy position. But first of all, let's calculate the stop loss and the TP. So stop loss will be at trigger ZigZag last. Can we still use these values? No, not really, because they are updated if we enter a cell ZigZag. We can trigger buy, we can say stop loss buy and TP buy are calculated here already. I know it's a bit messy because we have so many variables. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't really matter, right? So let's calculate it here. ZigZag last minus ZigZag last multiplied with Fibo stop loss level divided by 100. And ZigZag last minus ZigZag last minus ZigZag last my Fibo TP level divided by 100. I hope that the calculation here is correct. I'm not sure, but we will see. Shouldn't be too far off. Here we calculate the same thing for the cells. Of course, we have to change some of these operators here. And change some of the calculations. And then we have to create the variables, of course. Trigger by, SL by, TP by. And here we have SL cell, TP cell. And then now, since we have these values, we can use them right away for the position opening. So trade, I have to create the trade object here. So we can open the positions, see trade. Yeah, I will show you the whole code in the end again, because I think it's getting a bit messy here right now. But in the end, I will show the whole code, so you will be able to follow along if you missed something. So we open at the ask price, we take the SL buy and the TP buy, and we get the, or we could use a comment, but I don't want to use a comment here right now. And also we want to check if bid is greater than trigger sell. I want to say trade sell lots, symbol bid SL sell, TP sell, and then we also have to make sure that we don't open too many positions. So let's check if trigger buy is greater than 0 and trigger sell is greater than 0. And if we open a position, we reset these values. So let's make it 0 here, and trigger sell, let's make it also 0. Or actually, I don't want to make it 0. Instead, I want to choose a very high number, like double max, for example, here. And then I want to check if it's below double max, and I will explain why we do this. DBL max. Because here we want to say, like, if we open a position, we want to set the trigger buy to double max. Because if we then, in the next tick, see that trigger buy is equal double max, we don't get here again. And then here also, before we search for new trigger, or before we update the trigger buy here, using the ZigZag indicator, we want to check if trigger buy is smaller than double max also. And here we also say if trigger buy is smaller than double max. And then at some point, of course, we will have to, here trigger sell, of course. At some point, we have to reset the trigger buy and trigger sell. And this is what I want to do here. Like if we find a new buy trigger, we want to reset the sell trigger to 0. If we find a new sell trigger, we want to reset the buy trigger to 0. So if there's a next buy trigger, we will, update the trigger buy variable and search for new position openings. Then also we don't really need this variable and this variable. I created them initially to do the resetting process that I'm now doing with the trigger buy and trigger sell. And no worries, I will explain this in a little bit more detail in a second, but first of all I want to check if this is even working correctly. I mean, so far it shouldn't really make a difference because oh wait, we do open positions, right? It should make a difference. So yeah, let's just check this real quick. Started the test. Wait, where's my tester? Here. So let's see how it goes. So here, first of all, we do see this like downtrend line created by the ZigZag. So we should search for sell entries, right? And we should see a sell entry. There we go. If we hit the 61.8% retracement, then the TP is at the 0% retracement and the stop loss at the 100% retracement. So exactly as I set it up in the inputs. Then, okay, it's not working. Then we do see another sell position, which is not really great. Wait, actually we should, if anything, search for a buy position, right? So wait, let me check what's going on. Trigger buy, trigger sell. This is updated correctly, I would say. Trigger buy. So ZigZag last is currently ZigZag last is higher than ZigZag last, higher than ZigZag last, and trigger buy is smaller than double max. Then we reset the trigger sell, which is correct, I would say. And ZigZag last is not smaller than ZigZag last. So trigger sell should not become updated. Okay, we still have to check if trigger buy is greater 0 and here trigger sell is greater 0, because otherwise we will open the sell position immediately, because bid is greater trigger sell when trigger sell is 0, right? this should make sense. So let me reset this test and run it again, and then I will explain the code one more time, because this should actually be the final version, or the first working version of the program. So let's see how it goes. So sell position, first one is the same. With the next bar, we don't get another sell position, which is great. And now we should search for the buy entries. Let's see if this happens. Okay, the sell position is now closed. So now we should search for the buy position. There is the buy position at the 61.8. So this is also working. And then we search for sell positions again. Here. Then we search for buy positions and for sell positions again. Yeah, this is a problem what we see here right now. Wait, did we open buy positions before? Yes, we did. But the problem is that if we are searching for buy positions and then there's a new line that goes down for the zigzag, I think it won't trigger the position anymore, because if it looks like this, the buy trigger is immediately resetted, which is not really good. Not really what I wanted to achieve here. I think I can fix it by checking if trigger sell is greater or equal double max, and otherwise we don't reset it. This should make sure that we can still open sell or buy positions if the zigzag turned around already. So yeah, let me give it another go. And then also maybe when we create a new Fibo, we should probably delete the old Fibos, because otherwise it's a bit annoying. Yeah, let's just add this and see how it goes. Objects delete all is a good function that we can use for this, because every Fibo objects that we created starts with Fibo. So we can just delete all of the objects that start with Fibo before we create a new one. And this should make the chart look way cleaner than it is right now when we have so many Fibo objects. So let's give it another go and let's see how this goes now. Or otherwise, yeah, I mean, now we delete all of the old Fibos. Maybe we want to keep the last two, but yeah, I don't know. Now we open the buy position. I think we maybe want to keep the last two Fibos, because the last two Fibos can actually trigger something. So let's say we want to add another variable here, prefix, and then here we say prefix, oh wait, just prefix plus, because now we can say here for the buy Fibos we say prefix is Fibo buy, and here it's Fibo sell, and actually we could choose different colors also. If string, or if let's just keep it simple, if prefix is equal to Fibo buy, we make it color blue. And if prefix is equal Fibo cell, we make object set integer 0, object name, object prop level color, I color red. So we can see easily to which side a Fibo object belongs if we just have a look at the color. So yeah, let's give it a go. And I hope this is the last test for now for this program. Yeah, I know this was a little bit messy in the end. Yeah, because of the Fibo object and everything, it's something I'm not working with often, and especially also the ZigZag indicator is always a bit annoying. Yeah, I think so far it looks quite nice. We always have the last two Fibo objects alive, and we open the correct positions, I think. There's another buy position, there's another sell position. Stop loss and TP are always in place. And there we also got the buy position executed. Then we got another sell position executed. Oh, it was executed here already, which is also fine. And now we don't get any more updates. Yeah, I think the problem here is that we opened a buy position for the last ZigZag, and then this was after the sell position here was open. So I think what we have to do is here, before we say this should be double max, or we can just check if ZigZag last smaller than ZigZag last. In this case, trigger buy should be resetted again immediately, because otherwise we get stuck. But yeah, let me check this again if it's now not getting stuck. So I have to go to the 8th of January to see if we now proceed with trading, even in this situation. So let me fast forward. Yeah, the start should be pretty much the same. We draw the Fibos, the ZigZags, we open positions, and I think now it's fine. Yeah, we are after the 8th of January and we still open positions and trade just fine. So yeah, this is how you can use the ZigZag. It's just a basic template for such a program. I mean, you might want to modify this. Maybe, I don't know. It's completely up to you, of course. And yeah, you can do whatever you want with it. So yeah, that's pretty much it, I guess. I'm not sure if this program is perfect. There might still be specific situations where you get problems. But yeah, this is definitely something you can use to play around with the Fibo indicator and also with the Fibo objects and the ZigZag indicator, or in combination as it's shown here. And yeah, I'm kind of happy with the program, because I think it was good to show you the concepts of the ZigZag and the Fibos, or the Fibo object. So let me explain this to you again real quick, so you know what's going on and it's not too complicated. So first of all, we include the ctrade class, obviously to open positions. It's the easiest way in MT5 coding. Then we create a bunch of input variables, also pretty self-explaining. We create the ctrade object variable. We get a handle for the ZigZag. We get a timestamp to check if there's a new bar. We create a bunch of double variables for the buy signal and the sell signal. We will update these if there is a new ZigZag line. Then in the onInit, we get the handle for the ZigZag indicator. So nothing complicated right now until now. And then in the onTick function, we create a bunch of static variables. These variables, they won't lose the value if the onTick function terminates. So we could also use global variables for this. In this case, I use static variables. I think global is also totally fine. I don't know what's better or worse. I think it doesn't really make a huge difference. Then we check if there's a new bar. And if there's a new bar, we find the last two ZigZag values. And we need this for loop to go through all of the bars because the ZigZag indicator is one of the indicators that does not have a value for every single bar. So we will have to go back through all of the bars in the chart, or a maximum of X, because usually you will find two ZigZag values in the last 1000 bars. So we just check every bar and we check if we found a ZigZag value. If we find one, we check if it's the first one. If it is if it is the first one, we update the ZigZag last variable and the ZigZag last time variable. If it's not the first one but the second one, we update the ZigZag last and the ZigZag last time variable. We need these variables later on to check if the ZigZag last is above the ZigZag last. This would mean that we are pretty much in an uptrend of the ZigZag. And then we also want to check if trigger buy is smaller than double max, which means that we currently did not open a position just yet in the buy direction, and we are searching for new buy triggers. In this case, before we update our buy trigger variables, we then want to reset the trigger sell, because in this case we have to make sure that if there's another ZigZag that goes down, we want to make sure that the EA is ready to store the trigger for the sell signals. And then also for our current buy situation, we update all of our buy variables. So the trigger buy, the stop loss buy, and the TP buy. We just do some basic math using the Fibo levels that are chosen by the user as input variables. And then we also create the Fibo object using the create Fibo function. This function is written or defined down here. It's a very easy function that first of all deletes all the old objects, all the old Fibo objects, and then creates a new Fibo object. I have this separation of buy and sell objects. They get different colors, and they are deleted separately. It makes it a little bit more readable and visible with the different colors and everything. And also I should maybe check here what kind of direction we are looking at. So if prefix is equal to Fibo buy, we want to do something, and if it's equal to Fibo sell, we want to have a different color for the actual line. So color blue. Yeah, so this is just to create the Fibo object. The Fibo object is not important for the program itself. It's just a visualization for the user. It doesn't make any difference for the program. You could just not create the Fibo object and it would be the complete same program. It's just visual. And then, here, going back up here to our for loop, if we find a ZigZag scenario where we have a sell signal, we then first of all reset the trigger buy, so we can search for new buy triggers if there's a new buy ZigZag scenario, and then we update all of our variables for the sell side and create the Fibo for the sells. Then we break out of our loop. This is important. Then we break out of the loop as soon as we find the first two ZigZags or ZigZag values. Then after doing all of this, we created evaluated the ZigZags, we created the Fibos, we updated our triggers. Then the next step with the position opening is very, very easy, because we just have to check if the bid or ask price that we get here is below or above the trigger buy or trigger sell. And we also make sure that we currently have a valid trigger by checking if the trigger value is greater than 0 and smaller than double max. If we find that a bid or ask price hit one of our triggers, we then open the position, either a buy or a sell position with all of the relevant variables here that we calculated before already for SL and TP. And we update the trigger buy or trigger sell to make sure that we do not open another position with the next bar or next tick. Then also we have to check for one specific scenario that I already experienced in the tester some minutes ago. If we execute a position for an old trigger after the new trigger was already executed, it would not become resetted, so we have to check for this specific scenario here already. But if we do so, everything should be fine, and that's pretty much the program. So yeah, don't forget to cover or to copy everything here. Don't forget the semicolons and the commas. If you have any problems, if the compiler is giving you any error messages, you have a mistake in your code, and you should check it again. And yeah, I hope you understood a bit of what I did here in this tutorial. Maybe there are better ways of working with the ZigZag and the Fibo, but this is one way, and I'm pretty sure you learned something if you are still watching up to this point. So yeah, let me know what you think in the comments, and yeah, have fun with this program. See you next time. Have a good time. Good trades. Bye.